ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Monday. Time for your drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We've got a new director of athletics, Marshall University. The word came out earlier this morning after the Board of Governors approved the contract. The brand new athletic director for Marshall University. We've been talking about his name for days, coming from Austin Peay. Gerald Harrison. He'll be introduced on Wednesday. It'll be an 11 a.m. presser. And unfortunately for me, we got a ball game that day. I was looking at the schedule and like, oh, hey, kid, this is going to be a great show on Wednesday. And I looked ahead, oh, no, we've got a Pirates game that day. So we'll post stuff on social media, on the website, and, of course, we'll have Thursday and Friday show for sure. But we have the athletic director coming in, and he has so far, at least from a couple of people I've spoken with, he's hit all the right notes. I was told I would like him. So I will take that as a positive sign that I will like him. And you saw some of the highlights today when the release it came out. $15 million gift, which was a record at Austin Peay. Record ticket sales in 3 sports. That's going to be big at Marshall University. 13 championships, including 3 in football. That's going to be big at Marshall if that happens. A brand new arena under his watch. Multiple coach hirings, including 6 Coach of the Year nods. The GPA, that's going to be big for Brad Smith, and of course Marshall's push period. You have 3.0 for 16 semesters, department-wide. That's a big one for Marshall University. So those are some of the highlights, the bullet points that came out today. We'll know more about what his intentions are on Wednesday during his presser, and of course, looking forward to talking to him when we get a chance to in the near future. So what's your reaction to the news? Worst kept secret coming and going, right? 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 is our text line to be a part of today's show right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Early reaction, texter says, Paul, I'm excited but tentative. All right, appreciate that. That's, okay. That's fair. I'm excited but tentative, the texter says. Get a brand new athletic director, so that means that there's some things that are going to be happening in hopefully the next few weeks that might excite Herd fans. On the other side, you're kind of maybe leery just a little bit. Okay, is this a good hire? We're going to find out. And, of course, then you've got Christian Spears, the outgoing athletic director, making a long statement today on his social media account, and I'm going to read it for you. He said, to the Herd faithful, and this is Christian Spears' statement on social media, his platforms, as I end my tenure as the athletic director, I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude for the phenomenal community that has supported our student athletes, coaches, and staff with their genuine passion and pride over the last 3 years. It has been the honor of a lifetime to serve Marshall, and together we have accomplished so much. From multiple championship seasons and historic wins to academic milestones and substantial facility enhancements, our department has reached new heights thanks to the tireless work of our coaches, administrators, and most importantly, our student athletes. Their commitment to excellence in competition in the classroom and in our community have been sincerely inspiring for all of us. None of this would have been possible without your steadfast support, whether you cheered from the stands, joined us at our NCAA championship experiences, or simply and generously contributed to our program via the Big Green. You helped hone a culture of success. Your tremendous level of support will carry us for years to come, and we are sincerely grateful. It continues. As I step away from this role, I'm honored to welcome Gerald Harrison as the next leader of our athletics department. He brings a sincere commitment to our values, and the future of our programs are in his good hands. He has an awesome group of coaches and administrators and some amazing student athletes to care for and serve. I know Gerald, and he will be just as inspired to lead Marshall athletics as I was under the leadership of President Brad Smith. I'm genuinely excited for him and his family as they become part of our awesome community. Congratulations, Gerald. I'm happy for you and your family. The statement ends, again, my family and I thank you for the privilege of being part of the herd. While here, we have graduated one daughter of Huntington High and will graduate 2 sons of Marshall next year. Julia and I will always be grateful for the tremendous people our children have become while being part of this special community. Lastly, we will forever be proud of what we've built together and will always remain passionate supporters of Marshall University and our thundering herd. We wish all the very best. Peace and goodwill, Christian Spears. So that's his statement released earlier today on his social platform. So it might be too soon, but can you take it in? And what did Christian Spears mean to you? What did Christian Spears mean to Marshall Athletics in his few years as the athletic department head? Facility upgrades, the baseball park, how much of that can be put on Christian's watch? I mean, that was a big one right there. You got that ballpark finally built. A lot of people thought that would never happen, and here it was being opened last season, and now the herd has an opportunity to be a competitive baseball program, proper baseball program, I might add, at the Division I level, and a very competitive conference. And, of course, then there's some of the things that maybe you look at and you go, I wish that wouldn't have happened. The Charles Huff situation, the bowl game. There are some things that you can look at his time at Marshall University, not so fond. Some of that Christian Spears, maybe. Some of that Charles Huff, maybe. Maybe it was just time to part ways. No harm, no foul. Thank you for winning a championship here at Marshall. We wish you good luck. No harm, no foul. But then, of course, you know what happened afterwards. Marshall lost so many players, it couldn't play in the bowl game it committed to. And so there was a financial penalty there. So there are probably some good things and some bad things with any individual. No one's perfect. How would you rate his tenure as the athletic director as you look to the next athletic director's term? 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 is our text line to be a part of the show today here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We got baseball action coming up tonight. The Pirates are starting to look good. Beat the Diamondbacks 6-0. Now the Bucks open up a series in San Francisco tonight. It's going to be a 9:45 first pitch. We go on the air at 9:20 right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So a little late night baseball for you. Hope you can stay up. Hope you got your nap in before so we can listen to the game. And we'll have the Pirates this weekend right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Appalachian League, the Burlington Sock Puppets ruined the home finale for the Tri-State Coalcats 16-3. The Coalcats wrap up the season with a pair of games at Kingsport Tuesday and Wednesday nights. So let's hope that the Coalcats return even better for next season. Quick timeout. We come back. Let's get those texts rolling in. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. What's your thoughts on the newly named athletic director for Marshall University? And what do you think about the time that Christian Spears spent as the head man? Your thoughts when we continue on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This summer, the fun heats up at Dave & Buster's. Introducing the all-new Summer Season Pass. Your ticket to unlimited gameplay all summer long. Now through Labor Day, choose the Silver Pass for unlimited weekday gameplay and 10% off food and drinks. Just $69.99. You want more? Upgrade to Gold or Platinum for weekend gameplay, up to 30% off food and drinks, and even weekly food vouchers. Don't miss out. Grab your pass today and level up your summer. Blackout dates may apply. Visit DaveandBusters.com for full details. The summer heats up at Dave & Buster's Huntington Mall.
Save big on everything for your next project when you shop at Menards. Give your home a fresh, updated look with Pittsburgh's exterior paint. Ultra is a paint and primer in one that provides excellent height and coverage, and it can be tinted to create thousands of color options. View our entire selection of Pittsburgh's exterior paint today on Menards.com. Plus, view our weekly flyer and check out all the great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards. Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude,
How's the temperature?
it's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak Tree?
Sup?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think you would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Welcome back to this Monday edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line, it's brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop, and it's ready to go. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter says, Paul, not to detract from the news of the new AD, but the ending of the Coldcats' home season is a sad occasion. I don't know what is the matter with this town, but those who choose not to come missed out on a great entertainment value. All right, appreciate the text. What do you think would attract more people? What is it about the Huntington area sports fan? Starts out strong and then maybe loses interest? Or what is it that you didn't get at a Coldcats game that you were looking for that the Coldcats could improve next year? Now, I think it's a quality of life issue. You have to have things like this to improve the quality of life. I said it when Huntington had a hockey team, and I love going to those games, and I supported that team until the bitter end. And I would love to have a hockey team back in Huntington. That's a wish. That's a pipe dream, I'm sure, at this point for me. I don't know if that would ever happen and what level that would be. I don't know if it would be as good as ECHL hockey, if it'd be better or worse. I don't know. That's something I would love to see happen again here in Huntington, and I would support it, until my very last breath. And for a lot of people who love baseball, here's an opportunity for a couple of months. Yeah, you have some opportunities to go out to the ballpark and watch some baseball. Now, I know it's developmental baseball. That doesn't take away from it. The great thing about developmental baseball is, hey, I'm watching, future MLBers here. These are people that have an opportunity before them to maybe one day make it to Major League Baseball. This is an absolute opportunity for them to improve themselves, be seen, and you get an opportunity to really watch some up-and-coming talent here. So if you love baseball, here's an opportunity for you to see baseball. Now, I know the weather kind of hurt a few games, and that's going to happen. That happens anywhere. You're going to have days where Marshall football is not going to be the most pleasant experience because it's going to be cold or wet. Who knows what that experience may be for you. It's still football, and if you love football, you kind of know that, hey, that's kind of part of the territory there. I've been to a few Bengals games just as a fan, and I've sat there and I bundled up because, hey, it's been cold, but you know what? That's football weather. I get it. You kind of go into that expecting. So I don't know what can be said to maybe encourage fans, hey, you missed it this time, go see it next year, because we got a year, and a new year is going to be a 0-0 record. They're going to start from scratch once again. They're going to get a whole new team, and they're going to get an opportunity to entertain fans again. I mean, they had some really neat promotional nights. The Marshall night was really well. The Taylor Swift night went well. There were some neat promotional opportunities. I mean, Sergeant Slaughter, you got to see Sergeant Slaughter. You can't turn that opportunity away. And they even did the Slaw Dogs. That's the thing. They responded to a lot of fans, hey, Slaw Dogs. Okay, we'll give you Slaw Dogs. Saturdays were Slaw Dog Saturdays, and I don't know what their record was when they were wearing those Slaw Dog outfits, but I think it was pretty good. So I don't know how to encourage people to maybe check those games out. And, of course, for transparency here, we here at Kindred Communications, we have a major part in running that franchise. So I just want to be for transparency's sake. I'm not directly connected to the baseball team, but I'm in the same building, so I know what's going on a little bit. And it's a good quality of life improvement in Huntington. It's baseball. It is a chance for you to go out to the ballpark, especially on Thursdays. I know people love Thirsty Thursdays. I mean, there's some fun to be had here, and the kids love it as well. I mean, take your kid out. Go watch a little baseball. Games start at 7 o'clock. I mean, that's pretty nice. Some games don't start that early. Some games go later. Coldcats, 7 o'clock. Sweet spot, actually. And then, of course, the Sunday games were earlier in the afternoon. So I don't know what I can say to encourage someone to buy a ticket other than with the texter saying, hey, you missed out a great opportunity here to watch some really good baseball. I don't think it's going anywhere, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. It takes a few years for things to pick up and to grow and people to kind of get a feel for it. And July and June are pretty good months to watch some baseball. We're getting into August now. We're starting to think about football. So next season, bigger and better, right? But I'll tell you this, though. If there's something that you think would encourage you to show up more, I'd love to hear it, and I'll pass that information along. Our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I've got ideas already. I've already got ideas. I'm circling the calendar. I'm like, look, I know we did Slaw Dogs on Saturday, but next year, this is what I'm not telling you. I'm keeping my ideas under wraps. New athletic director hired today at Marshall University, officially unveiled to the public on Wednesday, and we'll be there. Gerald Harrison, current athletic director at Austin Peay, will be soon stepping into the role as athletic director at Marshall University. And I think we've gone over his resume enough. It's important that he becomes the athletic director before football season. I don't know the official start date when he actually takes the job over and when we transition from Christian Spears to Gerald Harrison. But it seems like it's going to be a smooth transition. I don't think, Marshall's going to miss a step. And you had an athletic director that stayed until the transition began to get the new athletic director that's going to replace him. And so Marshall wasn't without. There wasn't an interim athletic director. And to be honest, the last time we were in that situation, I think Jeff O'Malley did a fantastic job as the interim athletic director. And before I met Christian Spears, and this isn't anything against Christian, I was pulling for Jeff. This was before I met Christian. I think Christian made the job his own. But prior to meeting Christian Spears, not knowing who Christian Spears was, I thought Jeff O'Malley did a fantastic job, and I was hopeful that maybe Jeff would be the permanent athletic director. Jeff has gone on, and he's doing great things at Lamar, and I hope that his career continues to flourish. And Marshall will be welcoming in the next athletic director on Wednesday with Gerald Harrison. And again, a couple of people have already told me privately, hey, Paul, you're going to like him. Okay, that says something. If they think that I'm going to instantly like him, that means, okay, there's some good things there. I'm not overly critical, but I think that I'm fair sometimes. I don't want to just look at this with green-tinted sunglasses and everything's fine, but at the same time, I'm not yelling fire in the building either. So if I'm getting the word that, hey, you're going to like him, you'll be all right with him. Like, okay, I'm definitely down with that. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texture says, I agree with you, Paul. Jeff O'Malley would have been a great athletic director, but he's doing great work at Lamar. So, little Jeff O'Malley support there. Appreciate that. Texture says, Paul, how soon will the new athletic director take over? I don't have those details just yet. The presser is Wednesday to introduce him, but Wednesday's not his first day on the job. So that's going to be determined. Those details will come eventually, and then when he's an official employee of Marshall University, we hope to be able to welcome him back and bring him on and talk to him in a little bit more depth. And I'm hoping that he's willing to do that, and I'm going to seriously push for that and try to, if we can get him on a lot more. I don't know if we can manage that once a month. I would take once a month, but those are things that I can't promise. These are just me speaking, out loud, hoping that, the new athletic director is going to be able to spare some time for us and come on the show a little bit more, talk to the fans, and interact with the fans, find out what Marshall fans want from the athletic department. If you read the statement earlier today that was released from Herd Zone, that was kind of the feeling I was getting. And again, this is a prepared statement, so I'm not looking for anything that is earth-shattering or, lay it all out in one presser. But here's what he said in the release. Quote, I could not be more excited to be a member of the Herd in the Huntington community. He thanked President Brad Smith. He said he was honored to stand on the shoulders of great leaders. Here's the part that I want to read direct. Quote, from day one, we will begin our relentless pursuit of excellence in intercollegiate athletics. However, this pursuit cannot be done alone. I look forward to collaborating with campus leadership, our students, and community partners to ensure Marshall leads the way in competition, student athlete success, development, and well-being and community engagement. That is from the release earlier today. So it sounds like he wants to, day one, speak with everyone that has an investment at Marshall University. Obviously, campus leadership, that's without saying. Students, how much will the students have involvement in the direction of the athletic department? Community partners, that's you, right? I would think so. I would think if you live in this community, you support Marshall Athletics, you're a community partner. That's my hope, at least, reading that he's talking about you. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texture says, Paul, do you think he'll do a radio show like Mike Hamrick used to do? Slightly above my pay grade. I appreciate the text. Not sure if he would, but if he does, that would be a great vehicle for a lot of Herd fans to maybe start getting those questions out to the athletic director once again. That was something that Mike Hamrick did for several years, and Mike, of course, I don't think Mike really ducked any questions. I can honestly say, listening to him over the years, I don't think he ducked any question that was asked of him. And I encourage people to ask more. So we'll see. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. More of your texts coming up on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
It's the Hot Deals Cool Ride Sales Event at your hometown Chevrolet in Waverly. Right now, save big on a fresh lineup of Chevys. From fuel-saving sedans to dependable trucks and family-ready SUVs. As well as an exceptional selection of pre-owned vehicles. Looking to trade in? We're paying more than ever for quality vehicles. Need financing? We've got options that work for you. Don't miss it. Hot Deals Cool Rides happening now at your hometown Chevrolet. Off Route 23 in Waverly or at yourhometowንchevy.com.
Hi, I'm Nori, and over the years, my mother and I have opened our homes to those who need it most, and it's been so rewarding. I bet you didn't know that some adults who have unfortunately been mistreated need a place to call home in West Virginia. It happens more than you know. They may have some physical or mental limitations, and they need your help. Everyone deserves a place to call their own. I can tell you from my experience, it's worth it.
If you have an open heart and want to open your home, Adult Family Care may be the right fit for you. Call the Department of Human Services and ask to speak to an Adult Family Care Home Finder at 304-269-6820. Sponsored by the West Virginia Department of Human Services, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station. This project is supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL, of the United States U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $1,227,345, with 100% funded by ACL HHS. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of nor an endorsement by ACL HHS or the U.S. government.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Follow at Paul Swann on X for Marshall sports updates and more.
304-396-TALK is our text line. That is 304-396-8255. New athletic director has been announced today for Marshall University. Press conference on Wednesday to introduce Herd fans to Gerald Harrison. He's the athletic director at Austin Peay. He has been named the new athletic director at Marshall University, and we'll get more details hopefully on Wednesday about that transition. So a lot of questions coming in. First up, texter says, Paul, is Spears' kid still on the basketball team, and will he remain on the basketball team? The first one is he's still listed on the roster right now. So, yes, he's on the roster. Will he remain? Anything can happen between now and basketball season. I'm going to say he remains, but I'm not going to close the door on that. But at the same time, there's no reason why he wouldn't remain. Unless he wants to go somewhere else. I don't think there's any reason why he wouldn't want to remain. And, of course, if you were with us earlier, if you listened to Athletic Director Christian Spears' statement, he pointed out that they've graduated one daughter of Huntington High, and they're going to graduate two sons of Marshall next year. So that leads me to believe that his son is not going anywhere. Right now, Kai Spears is still listed on the roster for the Thundering Herd. That's a Coach Jackson question more so than anything. Is he going to stay on the roster? He would know better than I would at this point, but I don't think he's going anywhere. Take that as you will. I'm not putting money on anything on that. But you know how these roster changes happen. Team today, portal tomorrow. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 is our text line. Texter says, will Athletic Director Spears still be on the job? I guess your meaning is I think once the transition is complete, he will step aside. And again, I don't think we're going to have a situation where he's just going to walk out the door and go, see ya, I'm done, thank you. I think there's a transition plan in place. I don't know all the details, if that transition will mean he's going to be on the job until a few days before the new athletic director takes over, or as we've got the announcement today, he's going to start transitioning further out of the position. Will there be a few days where we have an interim athletic director just to finish the transition? I don't know all the details on that just yet. We're going to get more of that on Wednesday for sure. But at the same time, he wasn't not on the job. He was there. He was attending meetings. He was doing the job of athletic director, and that was important. At least you got a situation where you didn't get left high and dry. You had the current athletic director working while the university went to find the next athletic director. So there was some continuity there, is what I'm trying to say. And so that's not necessarily a bad thing. It went well. It ended well. No animosity being thrown on social media, anything like that. University and Athletic Director Christian Spears agreeing to part ways, mutual, and then he stayed on the job until Marshall was able to hire the next athletic director. So, hats off to him. I mean, some people would have said, "Hey, I'm out. Good luck. Have a great semester coming up." So, and plus he's got a couple of kids enrolled at Marshall. So, I think it went well. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 is our text line to be a part of the program here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Coming up tonight, we got Pirates baseball, but coming up tonight, the TBT quarterfinals, Best Virginia taking on Shell Shock. It's a chance for Best Virginia to make it to the Final Four. What do you think? You think this Best Virginia team could actually run the table and win the TBT? And if you're a Marshall fan, you would never hear the end of it if Best Virginia could win the TBT. So Shell Shock, the opponent tonight, that's going to be at the Charleston Coliseum. As, let's be honest, West Virginia as a whole supports the TBT better than some of these other venues. I'm not going to lie to you. It was a mistake to move it out of Charleston when it changed, and it's probably a good bet that it's going to stay in Charleston for a while, at least with Best Virginia being an anchor team. Now, will there be a Heard That anchor team in the future? That's a big question right now. Have we seen the end of Heard That? Was it a short but glorious run born out of the COVID era? And now are we going to see maybe a transition away from a Heard That team, or is it going to be a few years before a new Heard That team is reborn? I'm curious on that front. What's the depth of a Marshall alumni team? Can you put one together after you say goodbye to the Elmores and probably a few other players? And let's be honest, we're hoping that Tavion has a successful run in the NBA, be it the G League or in the NBA proper. I hope Tavion's not going to be available anytime soon. Same thing with Obina Anachili-Killen. He's going to be playing basketball overseas, so I'm hoping that those guys have successful professional careers. Let's be honest, I'd rather see those guys succeed at that next level than come back and play in the TBT. It would be fun, absolutely would be fun, but at the same time, this is what's really, I mean, you're playing for a grand prize, but you're playing for a few weeks and then you're done. So I hope I don't see Tavion playing at the TBT anytime soon, to be fair. I hope I don't see Obina Anachili-Killen playing in the TBT, to be fair. And I'm not saying I don't want to see John and Ott, but hey, those guys have given it their all, and I hope that John can continue playing professional basketball as long as he possibly can. But I'm with Ott. It's either going to have to be a different version of Heard That, or maybe you retire this thing for a few years. Would it be a substantial loss to you if there wasn't a Heard That in TBT next year? 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 is our text line to be a part of today's show right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Few more minutes for your comments when we continue on this edition of The Drive.
Truck accident? Tom Boggs is here for you in Huntington, and he's brought the expertise of Warner Law Offices with him.
Call 345-6789.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak Tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think you would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay, Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The Forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Miss an episode? Catch it anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Final segment for today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line, which is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. So, in between the break, I was trying to figure out if we got a date for when Marshall's new director of athletics officially will take the job, and Gerald Harrison's last day at Austin Peay will be on August 15th. So I presume that Friday, August 15th, that'll be his last day, and then possibly starting on Monday, August 18th, will be the new athletic director, or there'll be a transition, and I'm assuming anywhere from the 18th to the 29th. I would think it'd be a Monday, right? You end on a Friday and you start on Monday, so the 18th or the 25th. Come on, it won't be Labor Day, so that's just kind of where I'm at right now with this. I'm thinking it's got to be the 18th or the 25th. I don't know. That's not official. Don't hold me to that. Don't get me in trouble, please. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 is our text line to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Today we found out that it's official that Gerald Harrison will be the new athletic director at Marshall University, taking over for Christian Spears. And, of course, Christian did a lot of things at Marshall University that you can chalk up as a positive. One thing that you have to look at and go, okay, that needed to be done, was facility improvements. First and foremost, that was a sore spot for me. You would go into facilities at Marshall University, and the battle continues. But there was just the Henderson Center, it needed a facelift. It needed freshened up. The football stadium needed a facelift. It needed freshened up. And, of course, you got the baseball park built. That was under his watch, so you got to give him a lot of the credit for that one. That was something that was in the works, but he got it to the finish line. So that was a big one there. And, of course, there had to be some upgrades to facilities when it came to softball, soccer. You had to get those video boards because that was just a requirement of the league. And so you got to see some upgrades there. More seating at soccer, and that's probably going to continue. You're going to have to find a way to increase capacity. There's demand there for seating. Soccer, one of the bright spots right now. You also had improvements to basketball and volleyball. You've got a legitimate practice facility now. Keep that in mind. When you would go into the practice facility, if you even call it that, nobody wanted to go there. Nobody wanted to work out in that dank space. And so that was a priority. I think that will continue to pay dividends for Marshall. You have a proper practice space now for your basketball team. Now, I know football would like a grass practice space. I understand that. When that happens, I don't know. But at the same time, there have been some improvements facility-wise. Also, restructuring. I mean, there's some things that maybe Herd fans didn't like. Texter just wrote in and said, Paul, I don't like the gating process at football games. It's still too slow, and I appreciate that text. I mean, you're going to have some growing pains there. That's going to continue, and, of course, that's going to get Marshall more in line with stadiums across the country. The one thing that has to happen, though, is that you're going to have to figure out what the proper rhythm is. Does that mean you get to the games earlier? Do you plan ahead? Texture says, Paul. Hey, Paul, what is your win prediction for Herd football? I'm going to predict 4 to 5 wins. That could be right and that could be wrong. I had this conversation this morning. It could be either 1 to 3. Yeah, this was how it was described to me by someone else. It could be really great, it could be really bad, or it could be 6-6. I'm not there yet because the conversations I was having, like, we don't know. So you're saying 4 to 5 wins. Okay, I'm not there yet. Remind me. Texture says, Paul, no one deserves credit for the baseball stadium other than the former governor. Without the influx of cash, it may have never happened. That right there is a solid fact. That put Marshall over the top to get the finances for this. Will Justice get the credit, or will we go several years from now and go, hey, remember Christian Spears? He's athletic. Yeah, I got the baseball park built. Or was there some other hands involved as well? I know Mike Hamrick was pressing for this thing. I know former Mayor Steve Williams of Huntington was pressing for this thing. I know that Christian Spears was pressing for this thing. And the governor, being a son of Marshall at the time, wanted this thing to happen. So that point should not be lost. The governor put the funding over the top. Texture says, Paul, old Huntington High Field is still there as a grass practice. You know what? It's not a bad idea. Now that you mention that, that's not a bad idea. I appreciate that text. So you could refurbish that. You could repurpose that. I mean, it might not be right next to campus, but if you got to practice on grass this week, there you go. That's a possibility. I mean, you got the indoor practice facility. And the indoor practice facility is great. Everyone's got an indoor practice facility now. What Marshall needs is also grass. And, of course, then you've got, speaking of grass, Chris Grassy would love for Marshall to tear up that turf and put grass down so the pitch is actual grass. And he thinks that would improve the program, improve the product, improve the scheduling. He's wanted grass for a long time. So could that be a project for the new athletic director? Improve facilities further, a grass field for football? Would that be a priority for you right now as a Marshall fan, as a Marshall donor? Is that a priority for you? I think the priority right now is, of course, improving ticket sales. That's definitely that's the priority right there. Improving ticket sales, improving fan experience, improving the product on the football field. Obviously, that's every year. How do you do that? Well, in this day and age, you're going to have money, NIL money, right? Revenue sharing, right? You're going to have a lot of this. Facilities still matter, but you're going to have to put all this on top of that. So how do you generate revenue? Well, you're going to have to do things like have the Shoey become a destination for Herd fans to watch the game. And then I still hope that the end zone project that Christian Spears teased us with would come to fruition. That's the one thing that I wish we could have seen Marshall get off the ground sooner, is have that end zone area designated as a priority and tear those erector chairs out fully and get that end zone facility built. That would have been cool. You could have had and I'm not talking just like some fancy seats and a couple of covered areas. I'm talking about a suite level facility there, and you sell it for a higher price and you generate revenue because there's demand for suites, right? Always demand for suites. How do you fix that? Well, you build more premium seating. Yeah, you could have went the other way. You could have built more suites on the press box. You could have done that. Could still happen as well. And I know all of this, again, I'm spending money I don't have. This is not my money I'm spending. But these are things that could be challenges. You could pick up the ball and build out on some of these things. Luxury seating in the other end zone. More of a outdoor party deck. We talked about the party deck. And, of course, the scoreboard we got's nice. I was told that this thing would be like the biggest thing coming and going. And it's not that big. It's bigger than what you had, obviously. But at the end of the day, I want to see that end zone, all that empty space there, get utilized and turned into revenue-generating space. Same thing with the press box. You create more premium space there by expanding out, and I think you've got yourself an opportunity there to generate more revenue in the long run. Same thing with basketball. I would love Marshall to take those upper seat areas and repurpose that and do something a little bit more premium. And I'm not saying, open those seats back up. I'm saying that whole level, there should be some thought into, can you turn that into suite level quality seating? Can you do that? Can you put something? That would be a monumental task. You'd have to redo the whole upper deck section, but those are things that I think about in the long term. What would Marshall University be able to do to improve these seating opportunities? Something else Christian Spears came up with. He was kind of coming up with some innovative things. I mean, you got Herd Country, right? You got your own lager, Herd Country. I pushed for that Herd energy drink. I did not get that through. So the next athletic director, if that topic comes up, we're going to broach that subject. In all seriousness, though, there are a lot of things that you can look at the checklist and go, okay, hey, this is improved. Christian Spears did this. That's improved. Okay, got to work on some things here. How would this have looked if he was on the job a few more years? So, incomplete here. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'll be back with you tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Broadcasting from the Dave & Buster's studios. Eat, drink, play, and watch at Dave & Buster's in the Huntington Mall. ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. WRBC and W231BS Huntington.